For example, if the bus stop has poor visibility, we're recommending that the children cannot stand far enough off the road to please plan to drive your child to another bus stop, to the next one. And it's imperative that we all take our time arriving at school tomorrow. I'm sure there'll be traffic, and Officer Lynch and all of us will be out there helping, but everyone's patience will be required. As of now, as of today, we have 3 snow makeup days, but don't panic. We anticipate that the Board of Education will lower the number of required days from 182 to 180. That's required by the state. That would give us 1 makeup day as of today, and that is slated for April 19th. But there's a letter from the superintendent on the website that was there. So again, I'd like to thank the Beecher Road School community, citizens of Woodbridge, for your patience and cooperation during this time, and we'd like to thank the town once again for the help and support. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is the first item, Public Works Building Committee, and Chris Sorensen is here as the chair, Terry Gilbertson as our zoning enforcement officer, and Harold Roth is also here, our architect, so the floor is yours.
Okay. Good evening. Thank you. Terry and I and Harold and everybody have been working hard, and we've come through a lot of things here, and a couple of issues here tonight. Terry, and he's handing a brief handout to you right now so you can take a look at it and read it, that we had a charge by the Selectmen with the truck wash and how to look at it, and the challenge we had to try to include everything in the charge that we were given. We looked at the bunch of different ideas, and Tom Counterfect at one time had said, geez, why don't we put it inside? So, we started playing around with everything, and so we have to make some dimensions, some changes. And I'm going to let Terry speak on those behalfs, and I'll let Terry take over from here and tell them where we're at and why we're doing what we're doing.
Thanks. Good evening. You may recall, I think probably it was only Ed Shee in the room in 2004 when the charge of the Selectmen to the Public Works Committee was made. And we, if you recall, we designed a Public Works facility that had 3 basic structures. The main building, which we've seen a lot of, a truck port, which is just a roof, no sides, and the truck wash. And as we used the services as the building was designed, and as the committee looked at various aspects of the project, we used the services of a cost estimator. By the way, I keep this cost estimate this size in my office just to remind myself of the budget. And we have found that this standalone truck wash costs, we believe, $476,542. I actually am of the opinion that it probably costs more because there's a lot of site work that wasn't separately broke out from the rest of the site work. We included that standalone truck wash because of the Selectmen's original charge in 2004 to the committee to accommodate truck washing for both facilities and the fire department. In many conversations, however, that we've had about this building, first at the public hearing, you heard at the public hearing when this matter was presented to the public that the fire chief did not express any interest in the fire department using the truck wash. By the way, I spoke with him as late as this afternoon at the scene of a collapsed accessory building or garage, and he still concurs with us that he has the ability to wash the equipment that he has in charge of in his own facility and would like to continue to do so. It was the proposed ladder truck that made our building 62 feet long, which contributed to I believe its high cost. The fact that it was located in a separate building that's not attached to anything else, was also an issue. So we're here tonight to ask your permission to change the charge of the committee, and so that the truck wash could be incorporated into one of the bays of the building. This, by the way, Mr. Kennefield, was your original suggestion to us some time ago. And you were right, I think. We visited 3 different state DOT truck washing facilities. And we believe that it's that a space 20 by 50 is required to a minimum to relocate to wash a truck, and by making the building 4 feet longer, we can accommodate that in the last bay. We have Harold Roth and the local Grill Made Good, Barbara Fabiani, as part of the design team here. She's shy. And if you recall, this isolated one was here. In our present plans, we call for it not to be here, but located this building 4 feet wider. And Harold, if you want to discuss the architectural effect of this, perhaps it might be interesting.
By adding 4 feet on to the garage, this is the main level, the storage garage and the maintenance bays here. In this last bay here, which is a 20-foot bay, we're looking at the old plan.
Correct.
This is It looks virtually the same. The building really hasn't changed at all, except it's 4 feet longer. And we've enclosed this last bay with a glazed block, 14 feet high, which is pretty much what the DOT, the state DOT facilities have, and a small equipment room there. The same overhead door, and without changing mechanical equipment, we can accommodate a wash bay very well for the public works equipment, and it's very efficient, and in fact makes a lot of sense.
So will the entire garage have the drain in the middle? It goes to tank, or will it just be in?
Well, the last bay, because water is coming from all different directions, the engineers have turned the drain in the other direction.
So it was my understanding there was drainage
To
throughout.
answer your
Yes.
question, every place there's a truck, there's a drain.
Yes.
And that drain all goes into an oil separator and into a storage tank.
Just like a
Water is
fire.
recycled.
Same setup,
Right,
yeah.
so
There's a little different than the firehouse. Very similar.
Yeah.
We're accommodating a bit more water. We're anticipating that the water is going to be grittier. We apparently, after the trucks come back from their service, there's 1 to 2 5-gallon pails of undissolved solids that come off these trucks. That's why apparently we have, when we try to go to a commercial truck wash, we were asked not to return. Our trucks get really, really dirty. So we've been thrown out of some of the best places in town. And so we have some equipment that will, some tanks, underground tanks that will able to settle some of that water out, and we are intending on reusing some of the wash water in the rinse cycle, if you will, of the truck, the pre-wash portion of
I
it.
can understand the need for that, only because with the fire trucks, they're not carrying sand and salt.
Things like that. I mean, they don't have a truck wash. They just, firefighters come back from a call, they hose up all the snow and ice on trucks, and they're able to keep the trucks in great operating condition by doing that. And then the water goes into the tank, separator into the tank, and then it's drained at some point. So I can understand that. I guess I can see the need for an actual truck wash. I mean, initially I was just saying, why can't you just bring them into the bay, hose them down? But the explanation, I think, explains that, because you've got the grit and the frozen solvent, I guess, that's there. I can understand that. Any idea? I mean, it's not going to cost $500,000. Well, I guess after you add in the cost of the equipment, because this doesn't include the equipment, correct? This 400, so probably, we're like $500,000 all in, maybe a little more.
I don't think we're gonna know what this thing costs until it goes to bid, which is our next conversation.
Right.
We've spent money in having bidding or pricing done to inform the design, and frankly, it is that information that has allowed us to think of a tactical reason to conserve the amount of money that was going into this project. However, the truck wash is the 9th storage bay for the truck. We have 9 snowplow routes, and the 9th truck, I think, is going to be very, very clean, because it's a dual purpose bay. It also stores the 9th truck, and it's where the others get washed.
I appreciate the work you did on this, and I'm assuming it's going to save us
$200,000. But assuming that adding in the block wall between the 8th and 9th bay and the 4 feet additional is not going to cost us $500,000.
We are cautiously optimistic.
So it was always my intention with the truck wash was to try and save as much as we could, and if we can save $200,000 or $300,000, it may not seem like a lot of money in the scope of the whole project, but I think it's important that we can show that we're cutting where we can and we're trying to make changes where we can to save the town hundreds of thousands of dollars.
It's real money to us.
Yeah.
All these sorts of
Things have unintended consequences. And an interesting one, in my view, is that this move forced us to relocate the electrical room, which was at one end, and is now in the center of the building. And that's going to help too, because all of our branch circuits come out of the electrical room. It's shorter wire length, so I can't wrap my arms around what that's going to mean in terms of money, but it can't hurt.
I appreciate the work you
Yeah.
did
On
on
this, and looks good.
So this proposed car wash will accommodate all the public works vehicles,
Absolutely.
and none of the fire department vehicles will make use of it.
Well, they're certainly welcome.
Would it-
It's not a drive-through. It's a either drive in or back out affair, and
Could they make use of it if they wanted?
absolutely,
Yes.
it presently fits every fire truck that we presently own. It will not fit
The ladder.
the ladder truck
Correct, yes.
that is proposed. So, and by the way, if I had to wash a ladder truck, and I'd have to back it up and put it in the other direction, wash the other half if you had to. I mean, it's not a tiny truck wash. It's a sizable truck wash.
And you just described the type of equipment that would be inside this?
Sure.
Truck wash.
The committee has looked at all sorts of mechanical equipment, undercarriage equipment, automated equipment. By the way, the least expensive automated equipment that we have found is over $200,000. So what this will be is a room with two. I've asked for two wands for one on either side of the truck. We'll have the ability, which is essential for Public Works, is to be able to lift the bed of the truck up and get underneath. And we have the building height to be able to do that. And it's basically a high pressure washer and with access to some hot water and some some reuse of water equipment that is going to assist us with our water bill. It's water. We pay for water coming into the building. We're going to have to pay for water leaving. We'd like to reuse as much of it as we can. So it'll add to the equipment some, but I think it's a long-term.
So this will be a non-automated.
This is an absolutely non-automated.
Manual.
Right.
Okay. All right.
By the way, every state facility is not, does that with the exception. We visited the fantastic state of Connecticut bus garage and repair facility in Hamden next to motor vehicle, and they have an automated one, and that's very fancy. But we can't afford that.
Does anyone else have any questions or comments? So what the action we would need is to amend the charge to include.
Motion.
That is our request. We have another item that we'd like to talk with you about, and we can do that before.
Okay, so why
Should we make that motion? I'll make that motion.
All right.
I'll second it.
Okay, any discussion?
I would just add that from an operations standpoint, it makes good sense to me to take it out of the middle of the yard. I like the idea of incorporating it in the building.
It's going to give us some more room and space out in the middle, which is very key to all of us.
Right, I can see that. Thank you.
Any other discussion? So, all those in favor of amending the charge to include the truck washers described in this memo that was submitted tonight and by the members of the Public Works Building Committee, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Thank you.
The next item then is to approve the specifications.
Well, not so much the specifications, but what we were here on November 14th, last November 14th, to ask you to allow the committee to ask for pre-qualified contractors for this project. And if you recall, there was a 5 or 6 page list of things that we wanted, information we wanted from them, and in this committee, at this meeting on the 14th, 4 more conditions were requested that we put into this thing. We have done that. We have extensively advertised it. We have put it on the state web contracting portal, and we even got it into a Dodge McGraw-Hill affair. And we've had 18 responses from companies, ranging from national firms to people who work regionally, to smaller, I wouldn't say local firms, but area firms. And a subcommittee, as was suggested on the 14th, studied these things. We met with the building committee, and after careful discussion, the committee would like to ask you to endorse their selection of 10 of the 18 to be deemed pre-qualified, and that the bidding could be then started at the first moment that the plans and specifications are available. The plans and specifications are nearly complete. We lost 3 days that we needed recently, but I think we can quickly recover from that. I brought, by the way, the 18 submissions
to us. We learned one thing, by the way, in asking for pre-qualified things. We learned, and next time we will be doing this. We need to. We did not remember. I did not remember to ask for electronic submissions as well as printed copies, and so we had a very indulgent staff person at finance scan all of this. We've and we've learned a lot of things about this. We're very gratified of the response that we had to this. It confirms our suspicions is that the marketplace is ready for us when we bring this project to them. I think it's a good time to do that. We have a national firm, Whiting Turner, whose most recent project was the United Illuminating headquarters in Orange, which includes a significant truck facility that if you blur your eyes a little bit and spin around 3 times, it kind of looks like our truck facility in terms of its dimensions, its features, such as having a grease pit and truck washing facilities. There are also firms that apparently didn't read our request because they thought we were building a school, and we've taken the liberty of suggesting that we'll keep them in mind when we do build a school. We've got some fine firms that we know very well, that we're enthused that they're interested in doing it, and it'll be very interesting, I believe, when it comes time for them to put their bids in, whether a large national firm can deliver a better price to us than a smaller firm who knows the marketplace well. It'll just be damn interesting, I think. So the committee has made its selections. We found that the criteria that was used was useful. If you recall, we asked for workers' compensation rates. We asked for percentage of change orders. We asked, and while it's not possible, I don't believe, to audit and get real numbers, those that had alarming numbers, we could tell the people that didn't think their numbers were very good because they had long explanations for their numbers. So.
You know all too well what change orders can be like.
Oh, yeah.
So you're looking for a motion to approve this list of recommended pre-qualified contractors?
Yes.
Okay, so I entertain a motion to that effect that are listed in the memo submitted to us tonight.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
I guess not having seen them, I would defer to Tony. You review them?
I did, yep.
You're okay with them?
I am.
Then I'm okay.
Any other comments? If not, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And what is your time frame here for?
We have a schedule, and
Right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
We're this.
Want to articulate that briefly? What it is?
Sure. This is a 3-month look ahead, and except for the first week, we're not off to a blazing start because of some weather-induced things. But we have, as a town, we have responded to the and done a plan review and given our comments to the design professionals. Their responses have started coming in today. I've seen some of them. I don't think any of them are difficult to achieve. We have scheduled a series of building committee meetings. We are, the moment the documents are complete to our satisfaction, we would like to put them to bid. What that means is that we will place the documents at a plan room where the bidders will pay for their own copies. We don't have to expend any staff time to do that. and they will prepare. And we have an aggressive schedule that where the contractor is first to take a look at the documents. We have a required pre-bid meeting in this room on the 21st of February. They then where we get to answer any questions that they may have, and they all may hear it at the same time. They go back and work. We have another 28th, on February 28th. The design team responds again to the questions. There's another week, and then we cut off questions on March 7th. The following Monday, the design team responds to those questions. Bids are due on March 14th. They'll be open at 11 o'clock in this room. And we've given ourselves a couple of days to review the bids by both the town and the design professionals. We've scheduled a building committee meeting on the 19th. We believe that we will have an opportunity to have some questions for contractors. It's not uncommon in this process to do so. Before selection, we've scheduled another building committee meeting for the 26th, and we hope to be on your agenda on the 27th of March, asking for you to concur with the building committee and the selection of the contractor. The following day is the notification to the bidders. We were given a week that we describe as contract negotiation. It's frequently an assemblage of documents and insurance policies and things. And we would like to start construction on April 8th. And that's what this calendar is.
Thank you very much.
And any questions?
No, everyone good? Good
Thank you
job.
very much. Thank you.
Okay, the next item on our agenda is interconnection between AT&T and WGAT. And I believe that Hinson Perry is with us from AT&T External Legislative Affairs in Hartford. Good evening.
How do you do?
How do you do? Have a seat.
The Board of Education is not, I saw them as before.
He went already.
They went already.
Oh, yeah, we sort of reversed the agenda just to accommodate Dr. Stella.
He had to go to another meeting.
So you know, we have in our packet your email to Tony Genovese of January 17th, 2013. And this is really basically a request to have WGAT programming carried on your Uverse system.
That's correct.
That's it in a
Yep.
nutshell?
That's
Okay.
it in a nutshell.
Okay, so maybe just to explain that to us, and you can introduce,
Certainly. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate you having us here on your agenda. Thank you, Tony, for making those arrangements. My name is Kinson Perry, and with me is Kelly Bertucci. We are area managers for AT&T. The way our duties break out is that I have sort of a statewide responsibility for community access or public access on our Uverse network, interactions with local and regional providers. Kelly is, in fact, and we're all turfed. We also have a number of towns that are under our purview as well. And Kelly is your person for AT&T that is your external affairs representative. So she wanted to come along to meet you to add a little weight, add a little gravitas to the presentation. First of all, we'd love to have WGAT on our system. It's sorely lacking, and we have a number of subscribers in town. I can't give the exact figures, but I can tell you it's more than 125 at this point. So we don't want them disenfranchised because they have chosen to come over to us as opposed to staying with Cablevision. So that's, we want to be agnostic about whoever is they're choosing for their cable provider. We want them to see the same thing regarding community access. So the entire process starts with an interconnection agreement, which I have forwarded on, and I expect council probably has seen that. You look through that, and it is a document that just lists out what everyone's responsibilities are. There is a section there as well that speaks of a grant for equipment, And in that, it coincides with another document that I sent along where we have pre-approved vendors of equipment that would interconnect with our network. So your technical person, your IT person, whoever will be driving this, should choose from that list of vendors someone they feel comfortable doing business with. You get a quote from them on the basic interconnection package. We look at the quote, we approve it. You then take that quote and you turn it into an invoice from the town of Woodbridge or whatever the entity is. If GAT is a standalone 501c3, then from them. That comes to us. We cut a check for that invoice, and you use that money to buy the equipment. Therefore, WGAT or the town of Woodbridge owns the equipment. It's not something that's owned by AT&T. Commensurate with that, and then you put that figure into the interconnection agreement. You sign it. We sign the interconnection agreement. Once that's done, you can order the equipment. We order T1 lines, which are just high-speed pipes to pull your signal out from the access point. We pay for the monthly cost of the T1 lines. We pay for the installation of the T1 lines and any ongoing costs at all. So really, there is no real cost to the town or to GAT for this interconnection arrangement. The only minor cost would be where we take our T1 lines and plug into your building. It's called a network interface. It's or a demarcation point. We sometimes call it a demarc. And that point separates our network on the outside from your network inside your building. You would need to run a wire, it's like a Cat 6 wire from the back of your equipment to that point. And a lot of times the vendors of the equipment will work with you on that, especially if the connection point is close by. Going forward, I think that's pretty much it. We'll go through a testing phase, and we'll put your signal on our network. It'll be viewed by various checkpoints, and once we feel that we've cleared all the obstacles, we'll simply let it go live. Now, what the subscribers in Woodbridge would see, do any of you have UVerse at this point?
Now that you mention it.
Okay. Okay, well, it's, and
Not available.
it's,
As soon as you say.
as soon as we say.
It's still not available.
Now, I apologize for that, but
There may be one subscriber in the room here.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
it is, great, thank you very much.
She likes it.
Are there plans for the town of Woodbridge to get it more accessible?
I don't know, was Woodbridge
We-
on the new build?
I don't know specifically for Woodbridge. What I can tell you is that we've built out to over 50% of the state over the last several years. So as you can imagine, this is a high-speed IP network. It's very advanced. It requires a lot of fiber build to facilitate that. We've invested a ton of capital in the state of Connecticut over the last several years, pushing that out to more and more homes. However, it is something that does take a while. Really what we're trying to do is to continue to build in areas where we've already have a footprint. So as opposed to necessarily going into new places, if we see we have a footing somewhere, we're really trying to enhance the availability in those areas. But I can't give you specifics on what the build plan is,
It seems to be-
particularly on
It
television.
seems to be like on main roads, and does that have anything to do with it? I'm not sure how it all works, as how you build it out, but I guess you bring it into a town and you bring it into just certain areas.
It has a lot to do with what existing network facilities we already have in place in a town and what we're building on and off of from there. But it is certainly something that we would like to see more of, and we are doing everything we can to continue. We've had great response from our customers. They really like the product. They think it's great to have at least a competitive option out there.
Sure, I mean, I've got friends and family with it, and they love it.
Yes.
Can't get it.
I can't get it myself either yet, but I am
You want to negotiate a
hopeful.
quid pro quo?
Yeah.
No, we can't do that. No, I think the message is really where we are, we will continue to build if we are allowed those capital budgets. We're not, for instance, since we're already here, we're not going to be going up to a place like Woodstock to build something new up there if we're already here and we see an opportunity to fill out an area. It is distance sensitive for the distance from the serving unit of the electronics. So obviously, population density figures into the equation as well, and it's labor intensive and obviously capital intensive. So those are the kind of things that we're looking at, but we're.
You say that you, I'm sorry.
Okay. You have roughly 125 subscribers?
Yeah,
Homes?
thereabouts,
That's
yes. We
homes,
can't.
correct? You have-
That is homes. That is
Okay.
paying subscribers.
And do
yes.
you have an idea where they are in the town at this point? Are they all over or just certain?
I don't get those reports. I imagine that they could tell you that, or
Okay.
they could find that out there.
Mhm.
They don't say
So
because
in
it's
other words, if
competitive.
you wanted to sign up, you have to call into AT&T and you ask, am I eligible from?
You can actually
my-"
go to our website,
Oh, okay.
www.att.com.
Plug in your address and
Plug in your
it'll say it's
address.
not available.
Okay. That's the way to find out.
And the 125 represents the customers that have signed up. That doesn't represent what's available in the town. That's
Right.
just telling you that we've built in the town.
Okay.
There are
Sure.
eligible, what we call eligible living units, meaning places where people can get the service. That number is reflective of how many have taken advantage of that opportunity and have signed up. Just as a matter of, competitive, the competitive nature of the business, we really don't disclose information about where we're building far in advance of when it becomes available, just because it is a highly competitive marketplace. And so it's something that we just don't readily disclose. But it is something that when we make, internal decisions as for the business, that we certainly take all of that into account.
Can you tell us what the capacity is in Woodbridge for this?
In terms of how many homes it's available
How many you could
to.
accommodate?
I can't give you that information.
You know
We don't
that.
have that information.
No, we wouldn't be able to disclose it if I could.
But you may know what that is.
We may know it. We may know how many.
I
homes are-
personally
are
don't know it
passed.
at this moment.
So can
but
we assume from that there, if we were to go along with this, there's a substantial number of Woodbridge residents who could make themselves available?
I don't know that I would use the word substantial, but
What
I
would
do
you
know
do?
from past experience that interconnecting with access programming is a driver now for people to subscribe. People will hold off if they really like your channel. They'll ask if we have it. We'll say no, and they'll say, well, when you do, come back. So that's that's a reality for us at this point. But I don't know whether it's substantial. I don't know whether it's half the town or 3/4 of the town. I don't know that.
But really, the intent behind, why we're here today is because you do have a number of customers in town that have chosen AT&T as their provider, and we'd like to give them access to your programming. And really what this is a, low-risk opportunity for you as a town to have that content available to all of your residents, regardless of what provider they choose. And really, that's what we're here for. We know that the programming's there, we know that people like to watch it, and we want to make sure that they can have it on our network if they choose to be our customer.
Now, one of the features of our network, and I always try to disclose this, is the fact that once you do come on board with us, anybody in our entire network will be able to see your programming. So someone from Meriden, someone from Hartford, someone from Stamford, someone from wherever we are, they can go to the town, pick up on Woodbridge, and click on WGAT and watch.
And we will be able to see everyone else's program.
And you will, if you're a subscriber, you can see everybody else's access programming as well. That's correct.
I'm sorry, when I read that in your letter, I had some concerns about switching. Is there a time when Woodbridge viewers are going to be watching East Lyme or Meriden or Hartford or one of these
No.
others? Is there someone at a switch to?
No, there is not.
They are all available all the
They're
time?
all available all the time. All access all the time.
It's kind of like video on demand,
Right.
more or less, but it's channel on demand.
We have a channel, a specific channel, channel 99. You would go to that channel. It's a separate kind of program, and it loads immediately as soon as you click on it. You'll then get a drop-down list of towns in alphabetized order. You'll go to Woodbridge, and depending if we've just got WGAT, you can click on that. But some towns will have their full complement of P, E, and G. So you can pick on that, and then what happens if you're in that town? A cookie drops within the memory framework, so the next time you go to the drop-down box, it goes right to Woodbridge.
That was my next question.
Right. So that's just an enabling feature. It's not anything we collect any data on. As a
We've
matter of fact,
actually,
I think with Woodbridge though, you're gonna see that SoundView is already there, providing programming because they are nominally the certified access provider for the Area 2 franchise. So when you go to Woodbridge, you'll see that SoundView has programming there. We will overlay that, and we will put, WGAT, Woodbridge Government Access Television, as well as that, because we have to carry them. That's kind of a situation.
How do you do that? Soundview is under S and Woodbridge is still under W?
Oh, no, you'd go under Woodbridge.
It's a sub-menu under Woodbridge.
A sub-menu that drops down. In addition to
And it
this,
still activates that cookie and you still get WGAT?
you get Woodbridge with the cookie. You then have to make your choice among the programming that's allowed under the Woodbridge tag. And if through this we are able also to, I know that you send your high school students to Amity.
Yes.
You do. Do they have an access channel? I mean, is there an education channel?
They do.
We would like very much to have that on board as well, so that your folks in town can see the education access channel as well. Even if we have to go to Bethany to get it, we'll do that. So it just depends on who I have to talk to, because I know that Orange is also another sender to Amity
Bethany.
Right.
and Bethany.
And Orange and Woodbridge are in Area 2, Bethany is not.
Right.
So it breaks out by town initially, and then from there, any of the channels that are carried within that town, whatever content is specific to that town. And I'll be honest, from talking with customers, it really is a positive from most people's standpoint, particularly in households where both parents may not be living together. They really appreciate having the ability to see their child's school play on TV, even if they don't necessarily live in that town.
How many towns do you have right now?
Right now, we've got access. I can give you those figures. We have 64 towns and 85 channels.
You have Guilford in there?
Guilford? Yeah, Guilford's in there. Guilford's in there. Locally, we just brought up Milford. Not Milford, I'm sorry, Fairfield. Fair TV is up there with their government and their community access.
They're part of Cablevision.
And they're a part of Cablevision as well, and they're also part of Area 2. I'm trying to have discussions with Orange, and it's not like anybody's avoiding me. It's just we've been sort of missing each other. We have Westport, which is on board, and they're part of the Area 9, the lower Cablevision channel. But other municipalities separately, we've got Enfield on board. We have Glastonbury, Manchester, Meriden, Cheshire. And all of these are towns that have signed on to show their government access programming.
Any further questions or comments?
Yeah, I have one more question. What is SoundView's standing with AT&T? You described its status in the Cablevision Area 2, community access provider, I think.
Right, they're a certified access provider.
Certified access provider. What is SoundView's standing with AT&T? And the reason I ask is, frankly, SoundView has been somewhat obstructionist in our efforts to get town-specific government access programming, and my concern would be, the potential for SoundView to run interference on UBERS.
They would not be able to run interference on UBERS from our carrying your programming and putting it on in addition to theirs. We do have an interconnection agreement with SoundView. They are, per the DPUC, which was the predecessor to the PURA, they were deemed the certified access provider for the Area 2 cable franchise. As the certified access provider, they are the party to which we remit subscriber fees. So they get the money that our subscribers pay in on a monthly basis to us. We're really just a pipe. It's a set fee that is dictated by the PURA. It changes every year, and we collect those fees, and then quarterly we cut a check to SoundView because they're the certified access provider. And that's the extent of our relationship with them, other than we also carry the programming that they put out. and they put out 3 channels, a P, E, and a G, which should go to all 6 of the towns within this franchise.
But Woodbridge would be that extra drop down.
Woodbridge would be that extra drop down. As a matter of fact, when we put on Fairfield, we have Fair TV, actually the 2 Fair TVs on top and the 3 sound views below. So that's just so that someone in Fairfield can choose from 5 different streams to look at. Okay.
Great.
Yep.
If you have a T1 in town for this purpose, does that have anything to do with and how fast you can then offer the service throughout the town? Not that more people may want it, but
No, it's just the size of the pipe that we pull the programming out, and I'm not the technical guy, so I can't really. Actually, she's got a lot more technology expertise than I do. But that's the network option of choice from our folks. Want to come in and take your video signal out on a T1 line.
That's
ours.
just the specific pipe directly to the facility. It's only for that one location and not anything beyond that.
and there's no benefit to the town to utilize that T1 for other purposes, correct? Like
No, those
No,
will be
it'll be
strictly dedicated
dedicated.
for this. Our switch is actually in Wallingford. So what will happen is we'll simply take your programming out and we bring it to Wallingford, to our video hub in Wallingford, and that's where it gets combined and sent back out on the network.
Okay, any further comments? Is it
Keep us
the
in
ca-
mind for future expansion.
We're gonna talk to you guys about that.
What's that?
We're gonna talk to you about that
About the future expansion?
before we sign the contract.
We've been through these with a number of towns. I know that there's going to be some issues that you'll probably see on the interconnection agreement. Things say proprietary and confidential. We know anything we enter into with a town is FOIable, and so that's just redline that immediately. I mean, that makes no difference to us. When we were dealing strictly with nonprofits, initially that was more important, but once we started dealing with municipalities, it's changed.
So is it the consensus that we should pursue this, look into this?
I just have one
Yeah.
question.
Yes.
The cookie,
Yeah.
I mean, I understand what that means. But a lot of people who get Uverse or Fios or any of these other things, they bundle. So it's their internet, it's everything else
Yep.
that's now coming under that. So is there, pardon the naivety of the question, but is there a data piece that's sold by you if people have bundled and now they've got access to this television, this stream, if you will? Does that in any way, shape, or form compromise people's personal data, but by virtue of the fact that now there's again another cookie that's involved in all this bundling?
I would say no. The cookie is really a convenience because we know that if you're gonna, when you hit that drop down menu, you've got, like I said, 65 towns that are gonna drop.
I understand that.
So that's a convenience so that it goes back to your particular town. The other aspect of this, and again, I'm not the technology guy, but it's a completely separate program. It's the only way that we could accommodate that many video channels on one channel. So it's a completely separate program that's built into one channel.
So the bundling doesn't, it's not like they talk to each other in any way?
No. As a matter of fact,
I don't completely believe that, but okay.
the bundling is simply a marketing and financial situation.
But it's all coming through the same...
Oh, I see what you're saying. You get the high-speed internet, you get the Uverse. Yeah, but that shouldn't have any impact on that whatsoever. We don't.
Our Uverse products also come with antivirus software and a whole suite, security suite, that's for the customer, for the end user, to protect all that information.
Is that automatic, or is that
Automatic.
an add-on that somebody has to pay for?
Nope, automatic. That's the way we sell it.
Okay.
It's actually one of the things that we tout as an advantage, is that you don't have to pay extra money for a Norton antivirus and security suite. It comes automatically.
Okay.
Okay. Any further comments? So is it the consensus that we ought to look into this, pursue this?
I think so.
All right, so we'll turn this over to our town council, Mr. Weiner, to
Okay.
take a look at that. And we got on our agenda for our next meeting.
Yeah. We could talk, contact you.
Yeah, you can contact me, I can leave you with a card.
Great.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next item is emergency contingency policy elections, and Ms. Woodson and Ms. Belsigno are here, along with our town clerk, Ms. Caroliglio, who is a subscriber. So to speak.
It's a pretty great thing.
Yeah.
Do you have service problems? Because I know people have very bad service problems. No?
I'm not gonna say something.
In Woodbridge? You have service problems in Woodbridge?
I don't, but I
No,
know
but
people who do.
in Woodbridge.
Yeah.
No, I've had very, very good luck with
Good.
that. Really.
Okay. Thank you.
Can I just say something before we start? I just want to say thank you to our public works people. They were wonderful, and they still are wonderful because they're still out there. They've done a great job. I've been to other towns, and boy, let me tell you, they've done a great job. They deserve a round of applause.
Thank you.
We have in our packet some summaries of the emergency contingency plans for the election. So,
Correct. Unfortunately, you didn't get a copy with colored ink where you could see what the Secretary of the State's office sent us and what we've added in, but I can highlight those changes. First,
is this what?
that's just the cover letter. That's just the information. You should have a packet of the emergency contingency model plan for election, section
Yep.
9-174A, 1 through 34. Do you
And they have that.
You
Yep,
do have
we
that.
do, yep.
We did not get it to you with color updates, but I can go through it quickly. First, I just wanted to say that most of what you see is a SOT's policy with what the registrars consider and the clerks consider procedures added in. So their policy, our procedures, we've localized it. We were told that if we didn't get this board to approve our localized version, the SOT's plan as is would be the plan that we'd have to adopt. So by the 28th of March, we need your approval on this document to go forward so that we aren't forced to just accept theirs wholesale, which doesn't really serve our town specifically. It's a great foundation. There is one disclaimer on here that we have added in that all the procedures are to be performed only if time and conditions permit. So we want to make sure that you understand that we will protect the sanctity of the election until it threatens the health and well-being of the workers.
And we'll work in conjunction with the town emergency operations plan. That's part of this plan. We'll make it part of this plan.
Right.
So that we will follow the town emergency plan also.
Clearly, as the last gentleman stated, he's not the technical guy. We're not the emergency guys. So we've added in 9-174A-16. We've added in to work with the facilities office to prepare main meeting room on number 2, that this room would become our contingency location. And on number 4, we added in to work with Public Works to put adequate signage to refer voters to the new location and utilize the emergency notification system to alert the voters.
That's if all else fails. If the center generator failed, after the lights failed, the generator failed, then we would have to come over here.
Right. Or if the building was unusable for any reason.
Unusable.
9-174A-18, just that where we print the ballots, if we have to have additional ballots, is actually 3B, clerk's office at town hall. -20, under number 2, we've added in the moderator will use utilize backup machines as well as backup memory cards prepared for the election by the registrars. We do have those regularly available. Dash 21-2, we provide on-site training for the poll workers and their replacements. And 26 is basically entirely our procedure. So that entire section, with the disclaimer at the end of number 6, saying that, they're to be performed only if time and conditions permit. Dash 27, we've added in that our generator comes on within minutes. We've checked with facilities for that. And 29, number 7, again, the alternate location is listed. And that's, these are for smoke problems, gas leaks. It takes us all the way through to our nuclear disaster policy, which we did not write.
So the alternative polling location would be right here.
Right here, right here. If this building, this building has a generator as well. If this building is unusable, then we would have to discuss, the high school. But then parking becomes an issue, especially if school is already in session. So we're not going there yet. And this seems to be close enough that it wouldn't be a problem for people to get here in an emergency situation. Most of our elections in this town are small enough to be handled in this room with its multiple exits. It provides a suitable location, with the exception of a general election, which this would not serve well.
Okay, so you're looking for us to approve these recommendations?
Correct.
Regulations?
Correct.
So, I entertain a motion to approve.
I'll second it. I think you guys did a great job. Good job.
As a former registrar of voters.
Are you going to have a list going forward each election day of replacement workers? Did I understand that that's something new, right? I don't remember that. But
We actually were lucky enough at the last election to have a couple people who came to us late in the game, and we had already hired our staff, and then we needed them, and they weren't available to us.
Great.
And it worked out fabulously to be able to call people at 5 o'clock in the morning and say, come, is wonderful. So
Right.
yeah, we will do that.
And also an alternate moderator too.
Correct.
Oh, yeah, right, I saw that, sure. That's good.
And also the Public Works Department is working on the steps, that emergency exit that we use to exit people out. There's a problem there with that. They're working on that to make that handicapped accessible, but I think it's
I was just
going
going
to
to ask you about that. Oh, good.
Yeah, they've gotten one bid so far and it was like 17,000, I think. So they have to redo that whole exit, the doorway, and make it a handicap ramp. Once you touch it, you have to.
And the handicap access for this building is down below, right?
Yes, I came up that
You come
right.
up the elevator.
Oh, yes, I've been
And the
testing
elevator is
handicap
right there.
accessibility
There's
for
also
6 weeks.
That's what I thought.
On my
It's,
side,
I
of the-
came
on the
in that
town
way.
clerk side of the
Yep,
building,
it
there's
worked.
also a handicap entrance right there too.
But then you have to get all the way to the elevator.
Right, but it's flat.
Right.
And it's accessible.
Level, yeah.
Okay, so a motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Thank you very much. And then Stephanie, we have here resolution historic document preservation grant.
Yeah,
Town clerk.
I've applied for another grant for $4,000. It's gotta be 8 or 9 years now they've been allowed to apply for these grants. It's down to $4,000. It used to be $7,000, but I have some money in my budget, hopefully coming up July, that I can put towards this also. So it'd be an $8,000 project, and we'll be rescanning the we'll be scanning the documents into the computer system to get ready to put our land records online, which I think about 45 of the towns have done so far. And it prevents people using our land records, the paper copies, and it helps preserve those, and it gets us into the new century.
So you'd be part of that central land record system that a few of the towns are in?
There's a couple of different companies that have them, but our company is JCS, and they're around the country, and they already have, most of the states are online. And some of their customers are already online. But we're only back to 1994 in scanning. Everything is very expensive, and most of the years I've been doing restoration. So now I'm trying to put the money towards the scanning project, and if you will approve that, I will.
So I entertain a motion to approve this resolution that Stephanie Charloglio, Woodbridge Town Clerk, is hereby authorized to submit an application for the targeted grant fiscal year 2014 Historic Documents Preservation Program to the State of Connecticut Library Public Records Administrator for the grant period July 1, 2013 to June 30, 2014 in the amount of $4,000.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Thank you. Night.
Thank you. Yeah. We're now to the public comments section of our meeting, and let me, as a member of the public, make a few remarks, and then I call on Mr. Connors to amplify those remarks. And, as you know, we just underwent a blizzard that began on February 9th, and I guess Friday night, and extended through Saturday, and then, of course, to clean up on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I guess. We had 38 inches of snow. We had 5 feet or more drifts. The plowing was difficult and was time-consuming. We had 16 pieces of snow removal equipment in place. We also had the benefit of private contractors. Our town employees and private contractors worked overnight on numerous evenings. And at the end of the day, on I guess it was Tuesday, was it? All roads were passable.
Yes.
And then as to this morning, all roads were open for the students to return to school and for free passage. We met each day beginning last Friday with the Chief of Police, the Director of Public Works, Warren Connors, Fire Chief Sean Rowland, Mary Ellen LaRock, our Human Services Director, and we evaluated the situation on a daily basis. We opened our emergency shelter on February 9th on Friday, and it was kept open until February 11th. We had 4 persons in the emergency shelter, none of whom were Woodbridge residents, all of whom were stranded in motor vehicles going through Woodbridge during the blizzard. One of whom was a pregnant lady with her husband who spent a night or 2 there.
Did we give birth?
We did not.
Oh.
She returned to Southbury, and we're waiting.
I was kind of waiting for this rest of the story.
So, the school was closed for several days, and it was closed an additional day because we were concerned about the safety issues of the school buses using the streets, and we wanted to make sure that that was appropriate before schools were to reopen. We also met with Dr. Stella during this time, and Dr. Brady as well. And I want to thank publicly, as Stephanie indicated, Warren Connors, our Public Works Director, our Chief of Police, Gene Marcucci, and the Deputy Police, Ray Stewart, our Volunteer Fire Chief, Sean Rowland, Mary Ellen LaRock, our Human Services Director, for all the work they did during and after the storm, and also the residents for their cooperation and patience during the storm. You can see on your desk we received numerous emails from residents, most of whom were very favorable, some of which were not. Again, I'd like to thank Warren Connors, and I'd also like to thank Derry Gorski, the First Selectman of Bethany, who made some equipment available to us today to complete the cleanup project. So Warren, what can you add to that?
Well, there's no doubt that the storm was frustrating for everybody. I know that some of the criticism came about opening the roads, but the equipment's ability to push the snow, we opened a center pass, and basically the equipment could no longer move the snow, and we had to resort to payloader type equipment to open the roads. We did obtain within a 48-hour period a travel lane on every road. And then the next step was to open the roads to where they are today, full width. And given the time frame and the magnitude of the storm, I think this town, by comparison to many of our neighboring towns, the town I live in is still frustrated and somewhat impassable. So we've achieved something in a short time frame that I think that a lot of towns could not.
Okay, so any comments or questions of Warren?
I'll chime in. I think on Sunday I saw a wire story, national wire story, about how the southern New England states were the hardest hit by this storm. It was Connecticut, Rhode Island, and Massachusetts. This wire story then listed the top 40 municipalities in terms of snowfall, and number 1 of 40 was Hamden, right next door. Number 2 of 40 was Milford, which is just down the street. We are right in between those two. So I didn't see Woodbridge listed, but I have to believe we were a medal winner or a runner-up anyway. And with that in mind, I try to appreciate all the work that had to be done. I can well appreciate all the snow that had to be moved from my driveway because I moved it. And so anyway, all of that is just to say I appreciate the magnitude of the job and your efforts to get it done.
I mean, obviously, there's still more work to be done. Even though the roads are passable, it's not completely over.
Yeah. The good thing is, if there is snow tonight, it's only a coating.
I have a question for Warren. I heard we lost a truck in all of this, a plow in all of this. Is that a rumor?
No, well, we didn't lose it.
We'll
It's
find
temporarily left.
I'm sorry, it's what?
It's temporarily, we had a breakdown.
You had a breakdown.
With the vehicle, yes. And that truck had to be towed back to the garage.
And is that why we had to borrow equipment, or we just needed different equipment at that point?
No, Bethany and Orange actually both offered us some assistance because their schools were reaching a better state than what ours were. And in order to get our roads, because we didn't want students to try to get onto a bus.
Right.
Buses couldn't make it around intersections. There's no place for a child to stand.
Right.
We didn't want to even attempt a school opening unless we had accessibility. And knowing that we didn't need Orange's services, but it was on the table. Bethany did have apparatus and manpower available, and with that resource to us, I'm sure that some of their roads were still in need of attention, but they came down to initiate that flow to get the school open. And with that effort, we were able to achieve that.
Thank you.
I'm sorry I missed the first couple of minutes, but it's my understanding that at one point we had 3 trucks down?
At one point during the height of the storm, I actually had 5 trucks that were out of the 9 routes that were disabled, meaning that one was a breakdown, the others primarily lost chains, and they didn't have traction because the roads where they were at had to be cleared in order to get to the vehicle. It took us a long time to get those trucks free. Some of the trucks that did have mobility went to the locations to try to, get those trucks dislodged from where they were to get them back on the road. And when the rate of the storm was a complete whiteout, and the rate of snow that you got to realize that if a truck is disabled and you're getting like 4 inches of snow an hour, and we had one truck that was actually disabled over a 5-hour period. When you get to that road to get that out, you're actually digging that out with equipment.
Sure.
So you have to take manpower that was in a truck, put them in equipment, and utilize the equipment to open the road to get the truck back out and try to do something. And so you're set back very, very quickly in a storm of this magnitude. We've had major accumulations of snow in the past, but they came in increments. They didn't come at you as hard as what this one did.
Right.
And that was...
Okay, because I'd heard that. I didn't realize it was 5. But and I also understood at some point during the height of the storm we had pulled everybody off the road.
We come off the road for rest periods, and we stopped the first night to have a meal and just a couple hours rest, and we were back out there. Basically, the crews were working almost nonstop
So we have everybody on at the same time? or do you run
Everybody on,
shifts, or-
everybody on. But we don't have the resources for shift. If I was to do it in a shift, I've got a 50% workforce out there. How does that help us?
Yeah, no. It just seemed though at some point, I don't know if that breaking for a couple hours got us behind and caused some of the breakage. but-
At some point, there was going to be, whether it was if I split the shift and said, okay, you guys take 2 hours off, and I let the other 2 hours, those routes would have been in neglect for the same amount of time. So it's somewhat irrelevant.
Any other comments? Okay, thank you again, Warren, for your efforts.
Okay, thank you.
Any other public comments? If not, then we'll move on with the agenda. The next item on our agenda is Human Services request to use room 13. And you see in your packet, we have a memo from Mary Lee Barker, Chair of the Human Services Commission, dated January 10, 2013. They want to use room 13, the facilities office, once it's vacated by facilities, to utilize for both youth services and the senior center. You can see the proposed uses they have. So, Tony, we don't have any problem with that, do we?
No, I'm not aware of any other
Make that motion.
requests for it.
Okay. So I entertain a
They
motion.
definitely, you know, as liaison, I can tell you they definitely need the space.
It's right
They
across the hall. It's
Exactly, it's
convenient
perfect space-wise,
Yeah.
and I suggested that they get the memo in early before, you know, I know it's not vacant yet, but
Right.
my thought was get it in as soon as, you know, once it does become available, because they really need the space.
Okay, so I entertain a motion to approve the Human Services request to use room 13 once it's vacated by facilities.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next is the Country Club of Woodbridge. Membership dues and fees for this coming year. And we have Dee Hotchkiss here, who's Chair of the Country Club of Woodbridge Commission, and Jason Beffert, our Country Club of Woodbridge Director. Good evening.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for having us here. You should have a couple things in your packet. There's two things we want to talk about tonight. First of all, we need to solidify our 2013 membership rate. And the second thing we'll talk about is just to update you on what's going on at the club this winter. So we'll talk about the rates first. If you'll remember, back in August, we came and met to finalize a fall membership promotion that we ran. It was about as successful as we thought it would be. Obviously, we'd like to see a little bit more. We did sell just over 90 memberships with our proposal. And we feel at this time it's in the best interest of the club to keep the rate at the same price as that membership promotion, which is a 10% increase over the 2012 dues. Roughly 10%. It's not exactly 10% all the way across the board, but roughly a 10% increase on golf, pool, and tennis memberships. We're still the low-cost provider in the industry. You'll see another one of the pages is a competitive analysis. Our rates are very comparable to Oak Lane. You know, we're still charging a little bit less than Grassy Hill and Orange Hills, and then we're considerably less than the private clubs such as Racebrook, Mill River, and even Yale is on that list. So we feel like this is still the best strategy, especially given the troubles we had last year. Well, we think we fixed those. It's going to take some time to build the trust back from our golfing database. We just, when you break out the math between the number of times you have to play our course and what our greens fee price or our daily fee round is, we fit in right where we want to be. Certainly the strategy goes, the more memberships you sell, the more you can charge for your greens fee, and the more you can charge for your membership. So we really have to have this discussion, or we have to try and understand, you know, how we can maximize our utilization or fill up that tee sheet. And with a modest increase in membership price, we feel that that's the best way to go. And it is being very well received thus far in the marketplace from phone calls that I'm getting and that sort of thing. So if there's any questions or comments about the rate, I don't feel the need to go into every specific membership rate that
We have that Appendix C in front of us.
Yes.
It lists the proposed rates for the Country Club of Woodbridge for golf and pool, and also the rates of our competitors, if you will, in both of those categories.
Correct.
Okay. Any
And they
questions on-
were unanimously recommended by the Country Club of Woodbridge Commissioner.
Thank you, that's good. Does anyone have any questions about those proposed rates?
Last year, at the end of the season, was it the case that current members could lock in for what they had paid?
Correct.
And that was for, what, some period of time?
Correct. It was prior to November 30th, I believe.
And so then these would become effective,
Immediately.
and there wouldn't be like any kind of early bird
Correct.
rate.
Correct.
You're proposing going with these rates.
Well, you already had an early bird period.
Well, there's multiple ways to do it. Certainly other courses do offer, if you purchase before April 1st or something like that. We had a very solid base of members as it was, and so we wanted to incentivize them, thank them for their holding out and waiting for us to come on board in the spring last year, and give the benefit to those folks. And then, certainly in the future, that is something that we may look to do.
Excuse me, and we are anticipating offering a trial membership, which, well, in a simple sense, or hopefully will enable someone to, pay as if they were a member to try it out, that sort of thing, and, it'll probably be only for the month of April or perhaps into May, but, that at least will be a little bit of added marketing inducement, hopefully.
Okay, any questions on the proposed rates? If not, then I'd entertain a motion to approve the proposed rates as submitted by the Country Club of Woodbridge Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So that passes unanimously. The next thing, I guess, is here, you have in our packet, our handout here, Jason, off-season marketing efforts.
Correct.
Just want to go through those a little bit?
Perfect. So first and foremost on the list is what Deke just mentioned, which is our trial membership. I'm very excited about this for a couple reasons. First of all, for those golfers that played last year and maybe have a bad taste in their mouth, this is going to be an opportunity for them to try us for a month, realize that we have made course improvements, and test us out so that they don't feel like they have to purchase all at once. By the end of the month, I know they're going to be happy and they're going to continue to join. The root of the program is that you pay a small fee in April, maybe a tenth or a ninth of the total membership price. You get to play just like you're a member, whatever membership you purchase, whether it's 5-day, Twilight, what have you. At the end of the month, your membership expires unless you choose to join. If you choose to join, obviously we deduct what you've already paid from your membership and you pay the rest at that time. If not, and you decide to pay greens fees or something like that, we're not getting hurt. The town isn't getting hurt because they paid for that service for the month. So it's not like they're going to come and kick the tires and they're going to head out. If they do that, we've still kind of won because we still got their money for that month. We're going to try it in April, see how it's received. If it's successful, we may push to May at a higher rate. And again, it's important to note that this is only on golf memberships, not on the pool membership side. So very excited about that. We're developing a newspaper ad that's going to kind of have teasers for all of what we offer: pool, juniors programs, membership, greens fees, all that sort of stuff. And certainly this trial membership will be in that, and we're going to hit several local papers, Connecticut Post, the Register, and some of the more even local publications. Another marketing avenue that we're hitting is new home buyers to the town. We have sent over 90, I've sent 70 letters. I've got 20 more to send out for anybody who's purchased a home recently in Woodbridge. Basically, it's an offer, it's an informational piece welcoming them to the town, and an offer for a family day at the pool or a free foursome of golf to come check out our facility. Very excited about that program going forward because, again, I think, certainly outside of having the open space, I know that everybody's kind of secretly hoping that the town owning the country club is going to help increase home values and support for the town, and I think this is a good way to reach out to those folks. Also on that same category, we are interested in reaching out to local real estate agents and hosting them for a lunch or brunch at the club to show them what we have to offer, and work with some of the more influential realtors in the area so they can start talking up the club as they're trying to sell homes as well. Outings. As we all know, outings are a big focus of what I'm trying to work on this off season. We have 3 outings booked, almost a 4th book so far, which again is a little bit behind where we would like to be, but we're getting there. We're getting there. We have all the collateral we need. We have all the packages built. So it's just a matter of time and persistence on my part, which I will do. We have created a small business package. I think it's a great opportunity even for folks in this room. But essentially, it's a program geared towards groups of 16 or 32. If you are an employer looking to entertain clients, appreciate employees, or if you're just looking to have a small charity event, I've actually got one group that's booking 3 small outings with me for a charity as opposed to one big one. But it's a fantastic opportunity to grow the outing business from small groups. And again, the small groups are attractive because we can encourage them to play at times when we're not as busy. We can showcase what we have to offer. Many people playing in smaller outings, play in bigger outings, and you grow it that way. So again, through the New Haven Chamber of Commerce and other avenues, I will be really trying to get that program out in the market. We have created member and outing referral programs to try and help grow the business from our current group of customers. Who better to sell the facility than our members? Obviously they're happy, they've joined our club, and we're going to hope that they can help us out a little bit. And again, same thing for anybody in this room. If our outing package, if you know of a group that does a charity outing and you get me in touch with that group, we'll give you 5% of all greens fee, cart fee revenue and a gift card to the club. And we'll throw in some extra incentives if you use that 5% towards an outing of your own. So we will, again, once the snow melts, we'll get that out to our membership database that we currently have and try and grow the business that way. Player development, grow the game program. This is incredibly important to the golf industry as a whole, and one of the Golf Commission's main objectives for me this year is to figure out how we get our pool members to buy golf memberships and tennis memberships, and how do we get the golf memberships to buy pool memberships. How do we get those value-added programs into our current members? Well, when we're talking pool to golf, you gotta focus on the mothers. Mothers have a lot of influence in the household, as we all know, and so we're going to provide a lot of ladies programs this year, beginner programs to get more golfers playing the sport. Through the town, we've got a great opportunity to do that. A lot of people want to play the game, have tried to play the game, found it too hard. Well, we're going to just really focus on those customers because we have a lot of them. We have a lot of them already. So that's one area. Juniors is another area that we're always focused on and interested in. We have 3 junior camps that we host in the summer. We have an after-school program in the spring and the fall. We're actually trying to get together a camp during the April vacation this year with golf and tennis. So we've got a great opportunity here to, again, grow the game, get people at the club, and the best thing about Country Club of Woodbridge is we have certified, qualified, professional instructors. Our swim coaches, our tennis coach, and our golf pros have all taught college athletes. So it's good quality instruction for your son or daughter. And again, one of my goals is to be one of the most junior-friendly courses in the area. Juniors have a hard time getting on a golf course and feeling like they're welcome. We had 40 junior members last year. I hope to grow that, continue to grow that, and continue to support junior golf. Last but not least, the Connecticut Golf Show. Billy Casper has purchased a booth. Oxford Greens, Wittenberry Hills, Lyman Orchards, and us will all attend and share a booth March 15th through the 17th. It is in Hartford, so it's a little bit farther away, but it's a great opportunity to put a card on the table where you put your name, your email address, your contact information, and to help grow our database. And to inform people that Woodbridge is back, it's public, come out and try us, affordable rates, trial membership, we'll have all that collateral ready to go. So that'll be a great opportunity for us.
Where's that being held at?
I believe it's at the Hartford Convention Center, but I'm not sure. It's the third year that it's back to Connecticut, so they're trying to grow it as well, and I know year 2 was almost double the participation that they had year 1, so we hope to have the same this year as well.
Good.
I think for Lyman, Wittenberry, Oxford, those courses have been around. People know what they're all about. People don't know what's going on here at Woodbridge still, and so this is a fantastic opportunity for me personally to go out there and start talking it up. So
Good.
we put a lot of effort into that.
And then you just want to comment on the course improvements, Jason?
Perfect. Yeah, just real quick. We've had a lot of help from Public Works on helping get cleaned up after Sandy and a couple other windstorms that we've had. We did have to remove some trees that are safety issues. Anytime you get a 5-mile-an-hour wind, you've got branches all over the place, which is not safe for our golfers, so we had to remove those. We've improved course signage, painted, provided more information. We're going to relocate, so that's fantastic. Again, Public Works helped us complete the cart path improvements that we were looking to do. And then our mechanic Phil has been working diligently on equipment maintenance repair.
And you have a picture of these new course signs that you have, I see.
Yeah, they were, in the past, they were constructed for a private club, so they're in the wrong spots. They're in the spots for walkers, and now that we're public, most people take a cart. So we've removed them all, we've painted them, we've added more information, to the backside of the pole or what have you, and it's a confusing golf course to play to find where, from 1 to 2 to 3. So this just is going to provide another benefit to our golfers.
Good.
What are the cart path improvements?
We got some road millings from town. They spread them down over the cart path, and then over time they're going to pack in. And the idea being that hopefully they're not going to wash out in the rainstorms. And then in the fall, we actually had them come in and patch some of the damaged
Asphalt
areas.
patch.
Yeah, asphalt patch on those areas.
And then you've done some improvements to the clubhouse?
Yes. Improved lighting. We have many rooms in the clubhouse that we're not using, so we're stealing light bulbs from one area and moving them into the other to brighten everything up a little bit. We have painted several rooms that we are using in the grow room. If you can remember, it's the walls were kind of a maroon color. We brightened them up with a tan color. It's made a tremendous difference, just that alone. Just to try and make it look different, brighten it up. We've steam cleaned the carpets once. We plan on doing that several more times. We actually removed a refrigeration unit between 2 of the rooms so that we can open up the bar room, have one person working both rooms to improve efficiencies. We're going to be much busier this year, so we might not be able to get away with one person, but it'll make for much better efficiency. I begun a snow project today of refinishing our tabletops in the grow room. They're chipped and warped and what have you, so we're just gonna sand and stain, and for probably less than $100 gonna be able to have all the tabletops, which will be great. And then finally in the parking lot area, we're going to remove some dead and dying shrubs and bushes, trim up some limbs on some low hanging limbs on some trees, and just really improve that space outside. Bring in some wood chips that Public Works has again generously donated, brought to the course, and it's going to have a nice fresh look when we open up the doors in the spring.
Good. Any questions or comments? Well, thank you, Jason and Dick.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item on our agenda are farm leases for 2013. And, I'm sorry, recreation request use of center green for ultimate frisbee. All right. So you'll see the minutes of the Recreation Commission meeting of February 4, 2013. And you'll see that the Recreation Commission is requesting the use of the center green for ultimate frisbee. So I'll entertain a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Very good. Passes unanimously. Next are the farm leases. And in your packet, you have a list of farmers interested in leasing land. See all those there. And then we also have a communication from Sarah Shepard, who I guess you submitted this to us if you weren't at the meeting, right? Or do you want to?
Excuse me?
You submitted this to us if you were not at the meeting, or do you want to?
Yeah, I didn't want to say it out loud. It was
Okay.
just for the selectmen. It wasn't,
Okay.
didn't need to be public.
Okay. So, we proceed on this, Jerry, to award, I guess, under the policy preferences given to Woodbridge residents,
Yes.
right? So, and all of these individuals that are listed here have previously or are currently doing lease?
Except for Robin Norton.
Okay, who's from Bethany?
Mhm.
Yeah, okay. So, why don't we take them up in order? Is that how we should proceed?
Yes.
Okay. First one is Keith Arnold to lease 3 fields on the Fitzgerald property, the lower lot and 2 front lots, and the Elderslie fields, all 3 fields on Peck Hill Road. Is he doing that this year?
Yes.
Okay. So can we take these up one at a time? Is that?
I would.
Okay.
I make a motion that we renew that.
All right. Is there a second? I'll second it. Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Passes unanimously. Next is Mark Santoro, 48 Center Road, Woodbridge. He wants to lease the Alleghi Hitchcock fields abutting his property, I guess at 48 Center Road.
So moved.
Second, the same proviso as last year?
It's in his letter.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
yeah, it's right. Yeah.
As far as access, is that
Right, yeah.
Right, yeah.
In accordance with his letter of January 11, he and his wife Lisa's letter of January 11, 2013. Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, passes unanimously. Next is Sarah Shepard from 1992 Litchfield Turnpike. She would like to lease Shepherd Park, 1966 Litchfield Turnpike. The small field north of Jack Polk's house, 1936 Litchfield Turnpike. And the hay fields north of the Darling House, including down by the walking trail.
Is that the lower field down near the stream?
Yeah.
That's the baseball field.
It is a lower field.
Right, okay.
Okay, so,
Can I just ask,
Sure.
how often, what's that like in the spring? Does it flood a lot down there or no?
It's very flooded.
Does it?
Yeah, the river runs through when the water starts going over the dam from the water company. It just floods the whole bottom.
Right.
So it's like in the beginning of the season, you really have to wait
Okay.
to go there. It's a timely fashion. Also, when the sun goes down, it actually, the hay gets wet all over again.
Yeah,
It
'cause
goes
you-
down earlier than everywhere else, so you have to time it.
Because of the trees, the way it's
Yeah,
set.
there's a lot of trees encroaching on
Okay.
hedgerows.
So I'd entertain a motion to approve Sarah Shepherd's request.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next is Chris Sorensen.
Tim Curtis.
Oh, I thought we'd do the Woodbridge.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Chris Sorensen for Bishop Westfield, 1910 Litchfield Turnpike. Is there a motion? I'll second that. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. Next is Aaron Taylor, 1907 Litchfield Turnpike, Woodbridge. The field south of Darling House on the Litchfield Turnpike.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Then we get to Tim Chris of 13 Bear Hill Road in Bethany. He would like to lease the Zwick property, Seymour Road, and he has access through Fred Anderson's property.
Anyone else looking for that?
Not that I know of.
Looking for it. Is he doing it now?
Yes, he did it, he's been doing it.
And
Part
nobody
of the
else?
problem is, the only way to get into it is through Fred Anderson's property, and you have to get his approval.
Okay.
But he's been getting that
Tim has to have it.
permission,
Yeah,
right?
Tim's
Yes.
been getting it.
Yeah,
So
but
this
I would-
is the backfield, right? This
It's
isn't
the
the field.
backfield.
This isn't the field next to
No,
the house.
No, it's the backfield.
And I guess it's access from the, what street is that?
Halsey Lane, but
Halsey
that
Lane.
access is a ravine,
Oh.
so I've been told. I have not gone up and walked the front.
Does the town
Tomorrow,
need,
maybe?
put your
Tomorrow, my snow.
In the snow, yeah, the snowshoe.
I'll bring them by.
Be sure to
You
take
can walk
pictures
together.
of that. I want to see that.
We'll get Beth out there.
Borrow my
also.
scooter. Have a ball.
Okay, so we have a
Track
motion
one.
made and seconded on that. Any further discussion?
Does the town need to independently confirm that access provision?
Or maybe we could add it to the motion.
We had some discussion about that several years ago, but I think he worked that out.
Yeah, he worked it out. He gets, we get a letter from him.
Oh, well, I mean, I see that, I just,
No, I meant we get a letter, he gets a letter
Oh,
from
from
Fred
Mr.
Anderson.
Mr. Anderson.
okay.
So we could add to the motion pending receipt of the letter from
Yeah.
Fred
Sure.
Anderson.
You can.
That make that help?
Yeah.
Okay with that amendment? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes unanimously. And finally, Robin Norton, 52 Emerald Lane in Bethany.
But
Any-
those are the same fields.
Any of the
that
Elderslie
Keith is
fields?
doing.
Okay. Any of the Elderslie fields on Peck Hill Road? So those.
Any of them? Is there a little more specific?
Yeah.
Well, they're already taken, it looks like.
It looks like Keith Arnold has them.
There's only the 3 fields.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, the policy is to give preference to Woodbridge residents?
Yes.
Okay. So I guess we'll have to, we can entertain a motion to deny that request? Based
So
on,
moved.
okay.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye, opposed? Okay.
One more thing, Ed.
Yep.
Forgot to ask. On the Fitzgerald, is the issue okay with the cross-country team who couldn't start the races?
Oh yeah, that was a problem last year. The
Yeah.
Amity cross-country team has been running on those fields forever. Had to,
They weren't allowed to start the races as far down as they normally do, so they had to like truncate the race course, and just thought of it, but it was at the time.
Well, we
talked
can
about
check
it.
in to see if that's still a problem. I thought they had resolved that, hadn't they?
My understanding was, I heard from Paul Mingo that it was all resolved.
Right.
Now, what that resolution entailed, he didn't share with me, he just said it's resolved.
well, I'll call him. But that was a concern because the cross-country team is very good.
Yeah.
And I think the issue was that fans were going out and getting along the side of the trail because the cross-country team starts at the bottom of the hill
Mhm.
near the woods. And they start out running up the hill. So
On the
the issue
trail.
was fans coming down, trampling the fields.
Yeah.
So there has to be some type of resolution where there's a cutout up the middle for the team to run up, and then once they do that, then they're back along the edge of the trail and into the woods.
Mhm.
But I just think that there's got to be some way that the two can come
Well,
together.
would you talk to Paul
I'll
about
call him
that and get
tomorrow.
back to me? Or would you talk about that with Keith?
Okay. All right, so then we get down.
Ed?
Yep, sorry.
I have just one question also. I
sure.
have the Eagle Scout project on the field north of Mrs. Polk's house.
am I gonna have problems with people trying to park there? Or, you know, because it's supposed to be connecting the Blue Trail on both sides of the road, so nobody, but gonna have foot traffic through there also, but I just don't want, we don't have any gates or anything like that. I'm worried about people parking. I mean, across the street, I've already had people going in there with their trucks and tearing up the field. But, I mean, I put a barbed wire fence across, but I don't want to stop anybody from walking through, Boy Scout wise, getting to the Blue Trail, because I know that's the only access besides behind the houses on that same side of the road.
So what is the project?
It was an Eagle Scout project. It was a bridge that now it cuts right across the Polk field, the north of Mrs. Polk's house.
Yeah.
But I'm just concerned that maybe somebody was going to try to park there or drive through there. What can I do to, you know, discourage that?
We put up no parking signs?
No trespassing.
I mean,
I can put up signs like that, but I mean, I know it's connecting the blue trails for everybody, and I don't want to, you know, stop that.
You want to allow access
I want to allow
walking.
access for walking,
Right.
you know, for people
So
that,
no parking
you know, where
sign
people don't
seems to
get
be-
they park.
Yeah.
Oh, they park and they access the trail from there.
Right. When they first started building the Eagle Scout project, they were driving like directly across the center of the field, and I had to, you know, ask them if they could just drive along the side.
Okay.
So that was right during cutting season, so it was really tough for me to handle that going on.
So we can
no
have
parking signs
no
or
parking sign put
No
up there?
parking signs.
no through traffic.
Yeah, no through traffic or something like that.
No vehicle access.